Our fight is just getting started. You could be right. You're so right!
Have you ever wondered why the most confident person in a room is often loneliest? We all crave absolute control over our lives. We think that if we were just smart enough, rich enough, or strong enough, all our problems would vanish. But psychologists know there is a dark side of getting everything you ever wanted. It is a mental trap where supreme competence turns into total isolation. Today, we are deep diving into anime's most untouchable character's mind to unlock their hidden mechanism of our own brain. By the end of the video, you will understand the exact psychological mechanism that drives high achievers to self-destruct and how to spot it in your own life. But to truly understand this mental prison, we have to look at the exact moment the strongest wizard in the world completely lost his mind. Before he was God, Satoru Gojo was just a kid born with target on his back. Imagine entering the world and instantly shifting the global balance of power just by opening your eyes. In psychology, there is a concept called identity fusion. This happens when a person's identity becomes a complete swallowed by role or job or a talent. Gojo did not have power, he was a power. From childhood, bounty hunters hunted him. The elite feared him. He was never allowed just be Satoru Gojo. Here is the psychological trap. When your entire worth is tied to being the best, your brain develops a massive defense mechanism. You cannot afford to show weakness because if you fail, your entire identity evaporates. You start viewing yourself not as human but as a functional tool. And real fear not just happen to anime characters. Think about your own state student who burns out of college or the CEO who has breaking down because their business dips. They suffer from exact same identity fusion. They ask themselves, am I loved for who I am or just what can I do? Every god needs an anchor. For Gojo, that anchor was Suguru Geto. They were the strongest duo. For the first time, Gojo had a mirror, someone who could stand beside him without being crushed by his presence. Psychologist Lev Vygotsky talked extensively more about more knowledgeable author and the vital importance of per relation in deadly information. We need equal to validate our reality. Geto was the only person who kept Gojo threatened to humanity. He was the moral compass. Then came the Star Plasma Vessel mission. They failed. They were pushed to their absolute limit by the man with zero cursed energy, Toji Fushiguro. In that moment of near death, Gojo unlocked absolute godhood. He mastered the reverse curse technique and became untouchable. Here is the tragic psychological change. While Gojo ascended to heaven, Gito spiraled into hell. Gojo's power cap grew so massive that Gito was left behind in the dust. The mirror shattered. Gojo became so strong that he could no longer perceive the best and psychological descent until it was far too late. It makes you wonder if the people around you are struggling, would you even notice, or are you too wrapped in your own growth? Because what happened next is that defines Gojo's entire adult psyche. Fast forward to adult. Guru is now adult, constantly surrounded by students and adoring fans, yet he is completely alone. He drops his iconic line.
Do you think you're the strongest because you're Satoru Gojo? Or are you Satoru Gojo because you're the strongest?
Let's look at the signature technique instead. It is a literal psychological metaphor. It slows things down when you never actually touch it. In technical terms, it represents hyper isolation and emotional detachment. As a trauma response, Gojo protects himself by never letting anyone get close enough to hurt him again. When you cannot experience vulnerability, you cannot experience true human connection. Gojo is trapped in a room full of people, but his brain processes them as fragile beings he has to protect, not equal he can relate to. He exists in a permanent state of emotional quarantine. The ultimate twist of his psychological manifest in the Shibuya incident. The villain do not defeat Gojo with brute force, they defeat him with psychological weapon, the Prism Drill, and how they activated the presenting with the reanimated corpse of Geet. The man who is completely untouchable is instantly paralyzed by a single ghost from his past. His emotional isolation was his greatest strength, but his burned grief was his ultimate undoing. We do this too, don't we? We build walls around sarcasm, humor, or busy schedules to keep people at a distance. We don't get hurt. But those exact walls become a prison that traps us. Satoru Gojo's mind is a masterclass in how extreme capability can create a prison of absolute isolation. We choose to nurture the next generation so now no one would become ever have Tauron and the top again. But what happens when someone deals with powerlessness instead of ultimate power? What happens that trauma does not make you isolate yourself, but instead force you to push forward until you destroy the entire world? To understand the terrifying dark side of completely different psychological breakdown, we need to look at the boy who started with nothing and chose total annihilation. Click on this video right here to explore the broke, vengeful psychology of Aaron Eger. Let's see